I'm just like sweating everywhere. It's gross. And Jay always asks how I have such nice hair for these videos. Well, when you don't have hair, I mean, all hair looks pretty good, right? Howdy there, Murdoch here, and we're back in this video with a top 10 list. A top 10 list of my favorite original Xbox games. And the reason why we're doing this is because last week at E3, Microsoft announced there'd be at least some backwards compatibility with the Xbox One X and the original Xbox lineup of games. I'm sure plenty of games that people would love to see are going to be left out, but this felt like a good time to cover my favorite games from the original Xbox, and let's just get started. Oh, we're also going to have one honorable mention. Coming in at honorable mention, this is a game that scored a 9.3 from IGN back in the day, is Max Payne 1. It was the first time I really ever experienced a slow down mechanic and or bullet time in a game, and I thought it was very effective at the time. And I loved the comic panels as part of the narrative of the whole experience. I thought it was a very good looking game too for the era. A lot of fun to play. The game was often surreal, and granted in strange ways maybe, but the narrative was really fun and a really cool third person shooter. So coming in at honorable mention is Max Payne. Coming in at number 10 is a game that IGN gave a 9.2 out of 10. Panzer Dragoon Orta. It cues in on a lot of the same things that Star Fox hits. The story didn't totally captivate me, but the world did. It was a very beautiful game, very smooth. The handling of this game was so crisp, I really enjoyed it. Anyhow, a really fun game, very beautiful, very Star Fox-like. Yeah. Coming in at number 10, Panzer Dragoon Orta. Coming in at number 9 is a game that quite frankly, promised too much and was never going to be able to live up to the hype that it created for itself. So 9.3 from IGN, which is still a very good review, right? Well, coming in at number 9 is Fable. My primary gripe with Fable 1 was just the playtime. I play RPGs very slowly normally, and I remember, I think I got through Fable 1 in somewhere between 10 and 12 hours, maybe 15 hours tops. I remember that being really disappointing, but it was still a really fun game. I really enjoyed the world. It's very light fantasy. It's, kind of unoffensive, and it's almost early Zelda-like, and it's a colorful world. The combat, though, was very smooth, and it was very fun. It was cool having your character and sort of making these decisions that would impact yourself and the world around you. But I really enjoyed this game for what it was. I didn't really worry about what it wasn't, because even at the time, I didn't get super wrapped up into all the promises like a lot of people did. Very pretty game, a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, so coming in at number 9, Fable. Coming in at number 8 is a game that IGN scored an 8.8 out of 10. Project Gotham Racing 1. You had very realistic licensed cars that were beautifully rendered. You had really cool settings across the world. Everybody likes something different in a racing game. Some people like, really cartoony, over-the-top, non-realistic physics, so like Midnight Club or even, San Francisco Rush or whatever. And some people like borderline car simulator or something like, Gran Turismo kind of hits that a little bit more, or even Forza. You gotta remember, Project Gotham Racing was Forza before there was a Forza. This was 3 or 4 years before the first Forza game came out. It was that kind of midpoint between something cartoony and something hyper-realistic, which is what I like in a racing game. Remember, on the original Xbox, you were able to upload your own music and then play that through a lot of games, and I definitely did that in Project Gotham Racing, so it was so cool being able to race around and then having my own personal soundtrack with all the music I love, not just the stuff built into the game. But a great racing game, I really enjoyed it. Project Gotham Racing coming in at number 8 on my list of top 10 favorite original Xbox games. So coming in at number 7 is a game that's actually the highest scored game on this list from IGN. It came in at a 9.8. And some of you might be surprised that this game is as low as it is. So coming in at number 7 is Halo 2. There's a lot of reasons why it actually scores so low on my list personally. It's one of my least favorite Halo campaigns. It's also the game that got the least amount of replay from me for a Halo game. At least a Halo game that matters. I mean, Halo 4 probably technically the least, but as far as the core games go, definitely the least amount of play. The multiplayer on this game is amazing, and maybe the best multiplayer to date for the Halo franchise, and really just first-person shooters in general. This game will always be in the conversation as one of the greatest of all time. I mean, some people will say Halo 3 is a better multiplayer experience. But in all honesty, now looking back on it, I think Halo 2 was actually the better overall experience. Halo 2 was really what made the Xbox a powerhouse in terms of console online gaming. I've always been burned by the fact that it ends on a cliffhanger, and I really just don't like that. I thought the switching off with the Arbiter was like novel, but once again at the time, I actually didn't love that. I just wanted to play as a Master Chief. Coming in at number 7, Halo 2. Coming in at number 6 is a game that scored a 9.3 from IGN at the time, but this is still going to be somewhat of a controversial pick, I think, for a lot of people. So coming in at number 6 is Knights of the Old Republic 2. Really fun game. This game was not released by BioWare. It had some problems. It was a little bit unfinished, whatever. But why is this game on the list and not the first game? Well, a couple of reasons. In particular, I just really liked how fast you become a Jedi in this game, and that was really fun and really rewarding. I also really liked a lot of supporting characters in this game. I also really enjoyed the lightsaber stuff in this game. The fact that the lightsabers were slightly more customizable, I just really liked in this one. So, coming in at number 6, a somewhat controversial choice perhaps, Knights of the Old Republic 2. I am sweating like a pig in here. This is awful. This is just, whew. Alright, it's heating up. This list is heating up. Alright, this is a game that's actually the lowest scoring game on my list according to IGN, coming in at a 6.3. But, coming in at number 5 is Cell Damage. Cell Damage is a really fun, super cartoony, cel-shaded card beat-em-up type of game, you know, a la Vigilante 8 or Twisted Metal. But this game was super cartoony, really silly, a lot of fun, you know, very much in a cartoon world. Like, the whole world of Cell Damage was intended to be as if it were like a television show or whatever. I played it a ton with my little brother. It was a game that we were both on, I guess, probably even footing with, and it wasn't super competitive. I mean, it's competitive, but it was a game that I don't think you really felt too bad if you lost or you got beat up. It's really early on in the whole cel-shaded thing, but I really liked that game. It did eventually come out with like a port or a version for Xbox One, which I did download, and it's still fun to play. It's very simple. I had a lot of fun with it, so coming in at number 5, Cell Damage. Coming in at number 4 with a 9.2 from IGN is my first and only fighter on this list, and that's Soul Calibur 2. This is a really good fighting game, and it was very cool because this game was on each console of its generation, and each game got like a different character. But Xbox and Nintendo won that particular battle because Xbox came with Spawn and Nintendo came with Link, whereas the PlayStation version came with Hayachi, or whatever his name is from Tekken. Really great mechanics, very satisfying. And the cool thing about this franchise to me has always been you can get in at so many different levels with this game. You know, you could be a novice and still have a really fun time. Just the button mashing aspect of this game is still actually a lot of fun, but really cool, very colorful, beautifully rendered fighting game. Soul Calibur 2 on Xbox, coming in at number 4. Coming in at number 3 is a game that scored an 8 out of 10 from IGN. Robotech Battlecry. This is a really awesome game. Super fun, not realistic at all in terms of it being like a flight simulator, but a really fun open world-like experience. You get to transform between the 3 different modes of the Veritech fighters, also cel-shaded. In a lot of ways, I can't totally justify why it's so high on my list, but I think in a way that also speaks to how much fun I had playing it. I just really love this game. I also really like Robotech as like a cartoon or anime or whatever. It's one of the few that I really love, and this game definitely, was very nostalgic for me. It cued in on that love of, the original cartoon. Coming in at number 3, Robotech Battlecry. Coming in at number 2 is a game that scored a 9.4 from IGN. Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. Once again, another game I had to rebuy because it was stolen. Amazing game. I love this game so much, and at least through the Xbox original generation, probably the game I spent the very most time in on because the world was so huge. The biggest world I'd ever experienced in console gaming. The customization was so much fun, so in-depth at the time. I loved making my character and just adventuring. I never really did much of the main storyline, but I know I had over like 300 to 500 hours. I don't know what it was. I think I had over 500 hours in this game. The game was flawed, but I loved it so much. That sense of wonder and exploration. It was the first time I think I felt it on that kind of scale. The next time I think I really felt that scale was probably World of Warcraft. But Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind is an amazing game, a great installment to the franchise. So coming in at number 2, Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. So coming in at number 1, and obviously it's not going to be much of a surprise, but it's a game that IGN scored a 9.7 out of 10, Halo Combat Evolved, aka Halo 1. This had to be my number 1 game. For tons of reasons, and I'm not going to go on forever about why this is my favorite game on, the Xbox original. There's obviously a gajillion reasons. I'm going to do a video on why Halo is important to me, and I think a lot of what I want to talk about I'll just eventually do in that video. But the kind of Cliff Notes version or whatever is, I was the first of my friends to get an Xbox. Everybody else either got a PlayStation or, at that time didn't really have a console for that generation. But after I got my Xbox, by the next Christmas, I believe all my friends had an Xbox. Largely, I think, in part to coming over to my house and playing, multiplayer and doing, co-op and stuff. This game just changed everything for me. It was a first-person shooter that we were searching for since GoldenEye. Halo was the first game to really fill in that void. A great world. It was also a great story for a first-person shooter at the time. Well, just in general. I mean, first-person shooters aren't exactly known for being like story-heavy experiences all the time, but Halo had a really strong story and really cool, what felt like a unique setting. And yeah, if you know your science fiction, you know a lot of the notes that where Halo comes from. Like, Halo's not the most original idea, and that's totally okay. But this game kind of changed everything for that generation. Console gaming and just friendship. I didn't go to my junior prom. I had friends come over and we just played Halo together, and it was great. We had a wonderful time. So iconic. The visuals are iconic. Master Chief himself is super iconic, super recognizable. People who don't play Halo know who the Master Chief is. Halo is a story-driven first-person shooter with characters you can connect to. Even if Master Chief himself is somewhat two-dimensional, it didn't really matter a whole lot, because the story around the Master Chief was a really strong, fleshed out story and world. This is the game that built Xbox as a brand and Microsoft in terms of the gaming world. Without Halo, who knows? Like, there's a good chance like we don't have a 360, let alone an Xbox One. Without Halo, is there Xbox anymore? I have no idea. I kind of don't think so. I think if you don't have the blockbuster that is Halo, I don't think Microsoft has like the incentive or real power within this industry to go toe-to-toe with Sony. Coming in at number 1 for a multitude of reasons, Halo Combat Evolved. Well, that's pretty much going to do it for this one. It is super hot in here. It's got to be around 100 in this room now with all the stupid lights on, my door closed. I got the window open, but that's not doing really anything. So I'm going to get going here. But that's my list, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Agree, disagree, whatever. Leave it down in the comments below. Also, leave me your top 10 original Xbox games down there below too. I promise I'll read it and I will respond to it. That's pretty much going to do it for this one. So if you liked the video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you'd like to see more like Xbox related videos, Halo, stuff like that, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you want to check me out streaming, which I'm going to do from time to time, you can find me at mixer.com/themurdoch. You're mostly going to see me doing like Halo, Overwatch, maybe some Super NES, so we'll see. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for this one, and I guess I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Oh, it was also just so much fun shooting like 10,000 missiles at shit. That just never got old.